continue. Pay attention, all of you. In previous class, people were about to complete this interview techniques. So let's continue with this. I will share the screen. Okay, so now someone reply me if voice is audible to you and screen is visible. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So let's try to continue. Up to now, what we people have done so far, that which are the skills that interviewers they look for. Okay. Now here also, I think that we have done with this. The interviewers they look or they check your self-confidence and all those things, your communication and all those things. They will look. So in today's class, people will continue from this slide. So it shows that your non-verbal communication as well as your body language well. Okay. So let's try to understand first of all what is this non-verbal communication. So when we have communication with anybody, so communication basically is of two types. Okay. So what is these two types of communication? First of all, you try to understand it is called verbal communication. So what is this verbal communication? The communication in which we people use words. Okay, with the help of words we people do communication. So right now I'm just using words. Whenever I used to talk to you people or whatever it may be, with the help of words only I can communicate with all people. So this is example of verbal communication. Again, this verbal communication, it can be of two types as well. So let's say I can use words when I speak. So it can be oral. Similarly, when I would like to write, so while writing also, what do I use? Words only. So with the help of words, it can be oral communication. Right now I'm talking to you, this is oral communication, and what I'm writing on the screen, this is the written communication. So verbal communication can be like this. Now you people tell me what could be non-verbal communication. What is non-verbal communication? Tell me. Can you guess and tell me? If verbal communication is with words, so non-verbal communication will be with what?
Body language.
Yes, you're right. Body language. Okay, fine. So body language, gesture, posture, let's say signs, symbols, charts, graphs, signals, maps. So all these are examples of non-verbal communication. Okay. So here we'll talk about this communication without words. So when we people are appearing for an interview, so which type you people will use, verbal or non-verbal or both? Yes, yes, both. So if you decide that only words, I will use only words and I will communicate in the interview, you may be communicating, but impact will not be much. Okay, with the help of only words, you can communicate, but there will not be much impact. And with only non-verbal, if you decide to communicate, so people will not understand you much. Okay, so if you combine both, if you're using words as well as you are using your whole body for communication, whole body, I mean that you're using your gesture, posture, your facial expression, your eye contact, and every aspect of your body you're using, because that conveys a lot how you are. It is not only that words will tell you how you are, but people will understand a lot about you from your appearance, from your face, from your eyes. Even in fact, we people also in our day-to-day life also, when we meet a person, immediately we understand, we read face of that person. When we maintain a contact with that person, that time we understand a lot about that person, how is that person, whether he's happy, whether he's nervous, whether he's sad, maybe his eyes also tell us a lot of things. So same things about the interview also. So they're not looking just for your marks, they're not just looking for your certificates, they're not just looking for your communication only, but apart from that they're looking at as a person how you are, as a personality how you are. And then when they observe you from your appearance to your body language, when they maintain eye contact with you, when they just see your facial expressions, they understand a lot about you. So this is one way to judge the people. And in interview they will try to understand maximum about you by this way also. So one of the uh, criteria or parameter I will say, this is observation which these people make about you. And so therefore you people have to take care about your non-verbal communication, because as you people are going to prepare for communication, as you people are going to prepare for, let's say, technical skills, soft skills, you're going to prepare for your let's say some concepts, you are going to make it clear. And you have to give equal importance for your non-verbal communication as well. You have to give equal importance to your body language as well, because this is also going to have impact uh, in your selection or in your rejection as well. So let's try to understand this non-verbal communication as well as body language and your appearance, how it is going to help you in the interview. Okay. So first of all, it says posture. So do you have any idea what is this posture? So there are words gesture and posture, which are part of non-verbal communication or body language, I will say. So what is this posture? A posture is like, let's say, position. So position of what? Let's say the position when you, let's say, sit. Okay. When you stand and when you walk. So these positions are called postures. So at the time of interview, how and where you are expected to show your posture. So let's imagine a situation where you're waiting outside the interview room and now it is your turn. So how you are going to appear? So first of all, you are going to knock the door. Again, this knock on the door should be professional. How it can be professional? Because you have to knock on the door with the help of your, let's say, ring finger, and you have to have gentle three knocks only. You shouldn't knock with your palm. That shows uh, you don't have any manners or etiquettes. So when you knock, then they will just uh, get your attention, and then you people need to ask, may come in, sir? Again, when you're saying may I come in, that has to be polite. Again, you shouldn't be say like in a rough tone, or it should be in higher tone, like you're saying may I come in, sir. So it shows whether you are just making a request or ordering, or you're saying like this. So your tone is also going to matter. So tone is also part of this non-verbal communication. So politely you need to ask may I come in, sir, and then they will just let you in by saying yes, please come in, or something like this. So the distance that you're going to walk from the door to the chair where you are expected to sit, so how you're walking, so there your posture is going to matter. So while walking, you are just bending your shoulders, and just maybe you're dragging your feet with surface or something like this. So they're going to observe you. So you shouldn't do such things. You shouldn't bend your shoulders while walking, or you shouldn't drag your feet uh, with surface, something like this. And when you reach to the that chair, near the chair, don't immediately sit. You have to wait until the interviewer is going to say please have a seat, or you're going to take your seat, something like this. He's going to tell you. Then you are going to sit in the chair, and then you are going to thank the interviewer because he has given you opportunity. And then you continue greetings and all those things, something like this. Okay. So this way you people are going to be observed. And when you're sitting in the chair, that is also going to show your posture. So when you're sitting, how you're going to sit, so you shouldn't sit only on the first corner of the chair. Many of the students are feeling very uncomfortable at the time of interview when they are in the interview room, and they do not sit properly, they do not sit comfortably. So you need to occupy the whole chair, and you have to sit comfortably. Again, while sitting, you don't just sit in a relaxed mood. Okay, when we are at home, or when we are sitting at sofa or something like that, then we are just relying back, and we are sitting in that way. So at the time of interview, you are not expected to sit like this. You have to sit erect. So here it is said. So sit erect means how you are expected to sit. You have to sit straight without bending your spine. Okay. So sit straight without leaning on the desk. So whatever the table might be in front of you. So don't lean. It is not learning. It is leaning. Okay. So don't lean on the desk or don't slouch also. So what is slouching? I just told you that when you are at home and you're relaxing in the chair, so that time what do? You just bend or your spine is bending and you're just not sitting straight. So that is slouching. So don't slouch there in the chair. Again, there's question what to do with, let's say, your hands. So where to keep your hands? So should you keep it on the table? No, you don't keep the hands on the table. Rather than you to keep them on your, let's say, if you are carrying a briefcase, or again the problem that where to keep that briefcase or file or something like this. So when you enter that room, so that time you need to keep your file on the table and you have to keep your palms on your thighs, let's say. So don't cross them or don't do other activities as well. Okay. So while sitting, you have to sit erect. And again, when you're sitting erect, another point will be that don't be stiff and tense. Stiff means what again? That stiff means that again you are sitting too straight. That shows let's say odd, or it can be overacting, or it shows that for the purpose of interview only you are sitting too erect. That is easily pointed out. So naturally you have to sit erect and you shouldn't be intense. So shouldn't be intense means what? That I just told you, people are that many of the students, they're in a lot of tension that now it is my turn. And then what happens, that really their heartbeats gets increased, pulse rate gets increased, and some students, they start sweating as well. And so whatever the preparation they have done, they are not able to perform well, they're not able to answer well. So from where does this fear occurs? From where that such kind of, even some students shake their hands also, means literally they are shivering. So it causes, let's say, a panic situation, and you're not able to perform it. Rather than you have to be normal, don't take any tense, or just be relaxed there. Be relaxed in, not in the sense of posture. Okay. So mentally you need to be relaxed, and you need to just communicate in a simple way. So if you're in tension, then if you have worry, then you may not be able to communicate freely. So don't let it happen, or that atmosphere shouldn't be overwhelming you. So that care you can take. So I hope that you'll understand how to be there with your posture. Then another word is gesture. So what is gesture? Gesture is something that you're using your uh, body parts. Let's say you're using hands. So some people have habit of using hands. So let's say they use like this, and then they are using their hands like this, frequent hand movements. So this kind of be gestures, or there are other signs and symbols that we people use. So that is called gesture. Suppose that you wanted to say that something is very good. So that time we use this kind of sign that shows that something is very good. Okay. Or if you wanted to call someone, instead of saying come here, you can just show like this, that you're calling somebody with your fingers, just raising and making them down. So this way also people can use your gestures also. So people have to think about this. Then next point is this. It is about eye contact. Very, very important. That many people don't pay attention to the eye contact, but this is the a factor where the interviewers, or let's say observers, they will focus on. So you are expected to make eye contact with the interviewer. So at the time of interview, if you are not maintaining eye contact, that is going to convey a lot about you, and it will be negative. And when you maintain eye contact with the interview, it is going to convey a lot about you, and it will be positive. So let's try to understand, first of all, how to make eye contact. Okay. So let's assume that when you are in speaker's role. So speaker's role means what? You're speaking. So that time, what you are going to do, you are going to maintain eye contact with your receivers. So who will be the receivers at the time of interview? There will be the interviewers, there will be receivers, and other times those who will be audience. Let's say audience, they will be your receivers. So you have to maintain eye contact with each and everyone. Suppose there are 10 members. So with all 10 members, you are going to make an eye contact. Or if it is a large audience, with large audience also, you are going to make contact. Let's imagine a classroom situation with all class students, you are going to make eye contact. That you people have to take care when you are speaker. Okay. Then another situation can be that where you are listener. So when you're listener at that time, you're going to make eye contact with your speaker. Okay. So this strategy or this tip I will say you have to follow all the time. So whenever you are in communication situation, so that time you people have to follow this tip. When you are in speaker's role, maintain or ensure that you are maintaining eye contact with your receivers. So it will show that whether your listeners are paying attention, whether they're understanding you, and you can learn them, you can understand them better when you're maintaining eye contact. Okay. And when your listeners role, that time your attention will be maintained, your attention span will be increased, you'll understand everything, it will be in a better way. So suppose that if you're not maintaining eye contact, you will not understand. So therefore you people have to maintain eye contact when you will be in listeners role and speakers roles as well. Now let's try to understand this maintaining eye contact in case of interview. So it is going to convey a lot when you're maintaining eye contact with the interviewer. So that time it shows you're confident. Okay. You're confident, then you're prepared, and you're speaking truth. And so many, again, meanings will be there that will be conveyed when you're maintaining eye contact. Okay. So now let's try to understand if you're not maintaining eye contact, so that time it is going to show that you have, let's say, fear, let's say confusion, let's say you are shy, or you are lying, that means not speaking truth, or you are unprepared. Okay. So if you're conveying negative meanings like this, then it will be sure that you will have rejection. Okay. So therefore try to maintain eye contact whenever you people are going to face an interview, and that should show some positive sign. Okay. So always take care about that. You people are going to maintain eye contact in every situation. Forget about interview. At the time of interview, you have to make it. But apart from this interview also, you people in your day-to-day life also too, with whomever you are going to have communication. Let's say with your teachers, let's say with your classmates, let's say with your family members as well. But with everybody, you try to maintain eye contact, and you'll feel that your communication has a different way of expression, or you'll learn so many things. People will take you differently when you are maintaining eye contact. And when you are not maintaining eye contact, that will, again, I already told you that that will convey a lot of negative about you. Okay. So try to work on it and maintain eye contact. Again, another point mentioned here, it says that avoid continuous staring. Okay. So what is this continuous staring? If you're maintaining eye contact, it doesn't mean that you have to continuously look into the eyes of the people with whom you are having communication. No, not necessarily that you have to look at continuously them. So sometimes you can look here there. So I'm sure Shubham is what you're saying. When we're facing something new, that time our heartbeat is pumping fastly. So yes, Shubham, you're right. Right question by Shubham, saying that if you're facing first time, let's say interview, we'll take example of interview also. When you're facing interview first time, so that is obvious and normal that you are feeling a lot of nervousness, let's say, or you are going to have fear, or your heart is going to beat faster. So how to calm it down? Okay, it is very simple. When you're prepared now, so that time you may feel it, but immediately you may feel confident. And when you will feel confident, that time you'll not feel that your heart is pumping or your heartbeats are high. Another situation that you can be normal, that you can take a deep breath there. Okay. If you're having practice of meditation, that will help you a lot. But at the time of interview, if you're outside the waiting room and now it is turned, so that time suddenly your heartbeats are going to increase. So take a long breathe and let's take 2 minutes and think like this. This is my interview. Let's say my first interview. But from my end, I have prepared a lot. I tried to learn so many things, and I'm sure that I can just pass this interview, and I have confidence. So if you're thinking in this way, it will help you to a little bit calm down, and let's again face such situations frequently. So if you are facing interview first time, obviously it is going to happen. But before your final interview, you have faced the mock interviews. Let's say you have mock interview with your friend, with your let's say teachers, or with somebody you tried it or earlier. Before facing final interview, you tried it earlier. In that case, you'll not feel that much nervousness. You'll not feel that much tense, or you'll not be facing that your heartbeats are increasing. So that is the solution, I think. Sure. Is it okay? Are you getting it?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So you avoid continuous staring. I was talking about it. That avoid continuous staring. It will show that you have some hostile attitude if you're continuously staring. I think that you might have seen into movies, into pictures. When you watch some movies, pictures, serials, etc., try to observe body language. Okay, so don't just watch it for pleasure. So when you look continuously at somebody, it shows that you're angry with that person. You're showing your hostile attitude, or you are just you wanted to have a fight with that person. So don't continuously look at that person. Don't continuously maintain eye contact. It is a negative sign. Okay. So this is about eye contact. I hope that all you people will follow this. You will maintain eye contact and for positive things. Then we people will go to the next point here. And next point says that don't use too many hand movements. So this is a sign of, again, let's say gestures. So gestures are the movements of your hands. Let's say gestures or movements of your fingers or maybe legs also. So that people have to take care. Too many hand movements shouldn't be there. There are some students who have habit of changing frequently. They are just changing their hand movements. And another important part is your facial expressions. I have already told you that our face conveys a lot. So what is going on in your mind can be understood when you look at the person's face, because face is called the organ of emotions. A lot of emotions you can convey through your face. You can convey your happiness, you can convey your joy, you can convey your sadness, grief, sorrow, anger. So these things can be conveyed. Even through eyes also you can convey a lot of feelings. Okay. So try to understand a little bit more about your how to show positive body language. So your facial expression should be, again, it should be, let's say, serene, calm, cool. So whatever tension is there, it shouldn't be seen on the face. It shouldn't be felt that you are a lot of fear, afraid of the interview. So that has you have to avoid these things. On your face, I will say you have to wear a smile. Only better solution. If you have a smile on your face all the time throughout your interview, you have to maintain smile. Maybe you are getting rejected or whatever, maybe tough question, whatever questions it may be, but don't forget to keep smile on your face. So smile is the best solution that will show the positive body language of yourself. And another thing is that don't use too many facial expressions in relation to the words that you have expressed, which are not in relation. So you're saying something else and your face is saying something else. So your words are conveying different meaning and your face is conveying different meaning. So it will not be okay. Little bit work on it. I'm sure that many of the students, they are not aware about their body language, about their facial expressions. So I will recommend here you can take help of mirror. So always stand in front of mirror and try to find out your facial expressions, how we can be part of acting also. So don't, you're not going to be actors, actresses, but just in front of mirror, you try to see how you can show positive facial expressions when your people will be answering, how you can maintain smile on your face, and how to convey positive body language simply. Apart from that, I think that there are a lot of things, how to stand, you shouldn't bend. You already told me, I told you. don't sit with crossing your legs also. So we have a habit of crossing legs. Whenever we sit in the chair, we cross our legs, or we just keep our just toes on our knee and we cross legs like we are the officers or something like this. So that you have to avoid it. So is it okay? Are you getting it? If it is, then we will go to the next slide. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's okay.
Okay, fine. For everybody, I think it is okay. If it is not, you can ask me questions immediately or afterwards also. But pay attention. More important, if you pay attention, I'm sure that you are going to understand everything. And when you don't pay attention, that time it is going to be very, very difficult for you. I'm not explaining. I'm not teaching technical subject. First of all, try to understand this. There is no any technicality, and you can get a lot of information like this also. But when you pay your close attention, so that time I'm sure that you'll start understanding English, as well as your listening skills will be improved, as well as you'll get some tips also for your interview. So we'll go to the next slide, and on next slide also we people are going to continue with your dress outlook, or I will call it appearance. Okay. So what is appearance? So appearance means something that how do you look? Your look, in simple words, your look. So in case of appearance, so there are certain things that we have got it naturally. Okay, let's consider your height, your color of skin, your, let's say, face, or whatever personality we have. This is naturally, we cannot change it, and you shouldn't worry about it. So maybe whatever the shortcomings you may have, so don't worry about your color, you don't worry about your face, you don't worry about your, let's say, height or whatever it may be, because this is naturally, and all we people are aware that there we can't help. So don't worry much about your uh, just physical shortcomings. Okay, but what we can do in appearance, so when you are going to choose the dress for interview, or let's call it attire, so there you have choice, there you can do better. Then when you are going to choose accessories for you, when you are going to maintain your hair, or let's say shaving, let's say your hairstyle, let's say all accessories like jewelry and all those things, there you people can have choice, and there you have to be formal. All you people have to remember that this is your interview, and when you're going for an interview, so you shouldn't choose casual wears. Don't use t-shirts, jeans, caps on head, or hats, something like this. Because in formal, at the first time, after once you got selected, and if you're working for 1 year, then nobody will ask you that what you are wearing, and maybe there are so many funs and parties, and there are so many things in the let's say companies or in the organizations. So afterwards you can work with anything. But right now, this is your first time you're going to face, so you have to be formal here. So let's try to understand how you can be formal here. So first of all, in case of dress, we people will talk. So you have to dress formally, and you have to be well groomed. So in case of dress, first of all, I'll talk. Don't try something new on the day of interview. Something new means that suppose that you come to Megha. So is there any problem? Okay, pay attention that you shouldn't keep your mic unmuted unnecessarily. Okay, so don't try something new on the day of interview. Suppose that you come to know that your interview is planned, let's say after 1 week, or let's say 2-3 days. So some students, what they do, they go into the shop and they buy new dress for the sake of interview. So if it is new dress and you're going to try it on the day of interview, probably problem may arise that it may not fit you well, or let's say you may not feel comfortable in that new dress. So don't try something new on that day. Already, if you have just you have to choose a dress which is already cleaned, washed, and pressed or ironed, and you are feeling comfortable, it is fitting you properly. Such dress you people have to choose for the interview. And in case of well groomed, uh, let's talk about this, that you people have to prepare yourself from the point of your appearance. Let's say first of all, hairstyle. So as far as male candidates are concerned, you should have a recent haircut, or you have to maintain your haircut. It should not be that your hairs are grown too much, or different hairstyles. These days students are having different fashions, like one-sided hairstyle, or two side skirts or something like this, or they're keeping some parts and cutting some parts, something like this. So don't be odd there. Okay, you're going to face an interview that has to be formal, so you should have haircut. The next about your beard, if you're uh, keeping it, it should be trimmed, and otherwise it should be clean shaved. In case of female candidate, we should have, again, in case of your hairstyle, you have to choose formal hairstyle. And then let's talk about other accessories like belt, shoes. Let's talk about purse, wallet, or let's talk about other accessories, watches, etc. That you people have to choose carefully. All things should be normal. Apart from this, you people have to cut your nails. So there's simple things. I will not go much in details, but I'm sure that all you people will understand everything. You just be well groomed there. And why we people have to work on ourselves, because next point will tell you why we people have to work on it, because you will never get a second chance to make a good impression. Okay, so it will be your first impression which is going to create positive sign of you, and it is your personality, it is how do you look. So therefore you people have to work on it. So it does not necessarily mean that you have to go and buy, let's say, expensive clothes or something like this. Whatever you have, you have to be use them, but uh, there should be a good impression that you are going to create, or positive impression that you are going to create, because this is your first impression, and your personality is going to convey a lot about you, because again this is part of non-verbal communication. So what kind of person you are, it will be shown by the choice that you have made about your clothes, by the choice that you have made about your watches, about your everything that is seen about you, about your personality, your watch, belt, shoes, ties, and everything about you that gives opinion about you. So a lot can be understood about you when you have your look. So you get a chance to create good impression. So work on your look. Then already I told you that make wear something that make you feel comfortable. Don't try something new here. Then use simple accessories like simple jewelry, watches, ties, etc. That also we people have discussed. So in case of female candidate, you people have to choose about jewelry, makeup also, lipstick, and all those things also are going to matter. So be light there. Very important point that you people have to take care about this, that don't use any strong scents and perfumes. Okay, you may be having a habit of using scents and perfumes, but at the time of interview, what you like, what is your favorite perfume, or sometimes students or people, they use strong scents and perfumes. So if you may like strong scents and perfumes, but the possibility is that the next person may hate it, irritate it, or annoying it, because they don't like strong scents or perfume. So what smells you like, they may not like it. So avoid scents and perfumes, or aftershaves, lotions as well. Uh, that may create a negative impression. So you people have to avoid it. Okay, so is it clear about what you people can do in your non-verbal communication and your appearance?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
If any questions, you may ask. Otherwise, we'll go to the next slide. So next slide again talks about that what are expected qualities of the candidate. So what the candidate should have. Okay, I think that in previous lectures we people have talked about a list. I think I have given you communication skills and teamwork and leadership qualities and problem solving and conflict resolutions, all those things. But here again, it comes effective verbal communication. So all you people start working on your communication. There is a lot of things that you know. I know that everybody has the capacity, everybody has the caliber, potential, you have abilities, but you fail to express them. Why do you fail to express them? Because you don't have effective verbal communication. So you people try to become effective in communication. Okay. So how to become effective in communication? First of all, only try to speak. Always try to speak in English, because whatever interview you people are going to face, it is going to be in English. So don't underestimate. Don't think that right now I'm in first year. Don't think that nobody speaks right now. Don't think that it is not necessary. Don't think negatively. Take it positively. Simply take it positively. And today onwards, I think that in every class I'm telling that if people need to start English, only this will help you. Only this will give you confidence that yes, I can communicate everything. Because I just told you that you people have abilities, your potential, your caliber. We people or you can understand, but how to show other people that I have this much knowledge, this much skills I have, it will be come to know only if you communicate it. And if your communication is effective, in that case you can show it. Okay, so work on your communication skills, make it effective. Always try to express whatever thoughts and ideas which are coming to your mind, try to express it in English. So right now you may face a lot of problems, that there are a lot of ideas which are coming into your mind, there are a lot of thoughts which are coming into your mind, but you may not be able to express them in English. Am I right that there is problem? And what is problem? I'm sure again the problems are that of vocabulary, then problem is of making sentences, and problem is of grammar. Okay, so these are major problems, and because of these problems we people are not starting. So I will recommend here, don't think of your vocabulary, don't think of your sentence structure, don't think of grammar. Start immediately. Anyway, the way you can talk, you can start with your broken English, with your lot of mistakes, with your the way you're talking. With such English, you people have to start. And when you start, then you people will come to know that slowly you're picking up vocabulary. Right now, I'm sure that minimum 1,000 words you know. If I ask you to write down minimum 1,000, so more than 1,000 words you people know. And 1,000 words are sufficient to start communication in English. So problem is not of vocabulary. Problem is that we do not get the words at the right time, because we need to think. If suppose that right now I have to speak, then I have to think about that now, which word I have to choose. So the problem arises because of lack of practice only. Then let's talk about this, about sentences. Make sentences the way you can write now, because nobody will ask you that you're talking it wrong. Nobody will punish you. Nobody will charge you fine. Or simply if you're making mistakes, that is okay in case of making sentences. And same with grammar also. So don't think about the tense. Now I have to use particular sentence. So in which tense I have to use now, simple present or simple past or simple future. If it is simple present, what will come in simple present tense? Then is it positive, negative, or let's say it is interrogative or statements? Don't spend your time thinking like this. Immediately, the whatever words you are getting it, try to express it, try to throw it out, and try to talk with your friends. Until and unless you are starting, your confidence is not going to high. Your communication is not going to become effective. And when you start like this today, let's imagine you tried it for let's say 10 minutes only, and every day you just try to increase it, and let's say over time you're doing it for 1 hour. So within these 2 years, I'm sure that you're going to have fantastic your communication skills. It can be effective, it can be fluent, it can be accurate English communication you people are going to have. So I'm sure that all you people will work. And if you're spending time only thinking, yes, I will improve, but students don't start. I'm sure that many students, they don't start, and then they have to regret at the end of their graduation. They have to face a lot of problems in their communication. They're not able to understand the questions. They're not able to express. They're not able to answer the questions asked them interview. They're not able to perform well in group discussion. So problems are there. So you shouldn't face such problems in the future. After 2 years, you people are going to part of placement activities. So why not? Within these 2 years, you can work on it and you'll make it your strength. This should be your goal. Remember, all of you, this should be your goal, that I wanted to improve my English anyway, anyhow. Okay, by any means. It may be with whatever it may be, you're going to work on it. Okay, so work on your effective verbal communication. If it is English, don't take this it, because it is English only. Don't give it condition. If it is English, it is English only. Okay, in English language, there shouldn't be empty influence. So what is this empty influence? Empty means mother tongue. So when people speak English, so that time what happens, that we try to tend to take help of our mother tongue. And when we try to use mother tongue in our English, so that time it may happen that there are going to be mistakes. Do you know what many of the students do? They try to translate, literally translate from mother tongue to English. And when you try to translate, then there are a lot of mistakes may happen. Why does it happen? Because the structure of mother tongue and structure of English is not same. So let's try to understand the structure of English. How normally sentences are in English? First of all, there is subject. Then we people use verb, and then we people have some object, or let's say complement, or the remaining part of sentence will come like this, certain type of sentences. But let's say this is structure of English. So let's take structure of mother tongue. Let's say Marathi. So what is the structure of Marathi? You people tell me what comes in the beginning of sentences. Subject, verb, object. What comes? Is it subject? Or you don't know anything? It's subject only. In mother tongue also, subjects comes in the beginning. You can take one example and you can check it. Then we people will try to understand what comes next after subject.
Object.
Yes. Here there is change in your mother tongue, because then it comes object, or sometimes it may be a complement also. And then the remaining part, that what is going to be at the end, there is going to be verb. You can take one example in Marathi. So Ramesh Nibandhu Lito. Lito is the verb which is at the end of the sentence, and Ramesh writes an essay. Writes comes in the between. So there is difference in the structures of the both languages, and so when you people try to translate, so there is going to be some problems. Okay, so you people just try to avoid the mother tongue influences when people are trying to speak English. So don't translate directly, think in English and directly express them in English. This is the easiest and simple way to learn it. Then next point, it says natural delivery. Okay, so it should be natural delivery. What do you mean by natural delivery? Whatever you're speaking, it shouldn't be that you're talking with a lot of difficulties. And I have seen that there are some students, they speak English, but their English doesn't sound natural. There they have to again have to take a lot of time. What I just explain it like this problem arises with them. They have to think first of all. There is thought in their mind. So how normally they speak English? Let's try to understand. There is thought in their mind. Let's say any thought or idea they wanted to express, they have it in their mind, but they're not able to express it because they have to think about the words. Okay, they have to think about the words, which words they have to choose, and somehow if they got the words, then they have to think about the sentence, how to put all those words into sentence. Okay, there is problem with making sentence as well. Then these students, they have to think about the grammar as well. And when they are just thinking like this word, sentence, grammar, there's a lot of delay in their expression, in their delivery, and that doesn't seem that you're talking natural English. Natural delivery is not there. Meanwhile, that next person might have gone ahead of your communication, so therefore it takes a delay, and there is no fluency as well. So you people try to speak natural English, try to speak with fluency, and with practice only, again with practice only you can be normal. With practice only you can express naturally. With practice only you can bring fluency. There is no any class, there is no any tuition, there is no any kind of, I don't believe in such things that will just assure you that I will teach you to speak English within 21 days or something like this. So there are some advertisements that will teach English speaking fluently in 21 days, otherwise fees will be given back and something like this. So there is no any shortcut for this, because learning English is a lifelong process, and you have to keep it throughout your life. Even today also I learn new words. Even today also I learn about some sentences and other things. So it is going on. But as far as expressing thoughts and ideas, there shouldn't be any problem. So you people work on it. Then next is that pronounce sentence clearly. I think that we have done it in our unit number 1, pronunciation. And I have taught you how you people have to improve it, and why pronunciation matters. Because when you people are going to speak, if it is clear pronunciation, everybody will understand it. And suppose that if your pronunciation is not clear, you don't know how to pronounce a particular word, it is going to create barriers in your communication. Let's try to understand this with some situations. So all we people are from same background. Background, I mean that we are from Maharashtra. Anyone from out of Maharashtra here in your class? Is there anyone who is not from Maharashtra, out of Maharashtra? No, I think that all are from same state. Okay, so we have same cultural background, we have same, let's say, language background, because most of majority of we know Marathi, and whatever the pronunciation we people have, we are able to understand. So what I speak, you people are able to understand, and what you speak, everybody will be able to understand. But let's imagine now different situation. If you are going to have communication with, let's say, uh, southern part of India. So there are some states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, or let's say Karnataka, Telangana, something like this. So that time that will not be that much easier for you, because their pronunciation is going to have their mother tongue influence, or they have different accent. So while understanding them, you people are going to face a little different. You may understand them. It is not totally that you are not going to understand them. You are going to understand them well, but they will find difference in the pronunciation. Same if you're going to listen some person who are from north of India, same thing may happen. If someone is from east of India, there is going to again have the same case. So because their cultural background, their lingual background is going to be different. Now you have to imagine that in any case, if you're going to work at international level, okay, and then you are going to have communication with the people from, let's say, China, Japan, Korea, let's say you are going to have communication with Canada or Australia, or let's say England, America, like this. So at that time, again, you people will think that pronunciation matters in such cases. If you are having good pronunciations, they will find less difficulties. Okay, but if your pronunciation is very weak, in that case, you will find difficulty that what you are saying, that is not understood by the next people, or whatever they are saying, you are not able to understand them. So try to work on your pronunciations and try to make it clear. I have told you, you can follow dictionary, or you can listen good speakers, and you can improve your pronunciations. Okay. Then we people will talk about this last point that says speak a little more loudly or lower your voice to draw attention of the experts if there is an important point or opinion. So you can follow this technique or tip, I will say. Suppose that you have some important, and let's say you wanted to draw attention of the speakers, listeners towards you. So in that case, what you can do, you can use your tone of voice. So tone of voice is also important part of non-verbal communication. How you are using your tone of voice, that matters. If you're using in a plain tone, that is not going to have any impact. So therefore, don't use a plain tone all the time when you're speaking. What you are expected to do, you need to take some pauses. You need to lower your voice, or you can increase your voice, so that it can draw the attention of the people towards you, and then you express what important idea, point, or opinion you are going to express. And same you can practice in group discussion as well. Okay, you can lower your voice to draw attention towards you, or you can increase your voice, you can draw attention towards them, or you can just take pause also. Sometimes taking pauses is also a good sign of attracting the attention of the people. So these things people try to follow when you people are having your experiences, but important that you go through it, try to understand it more. YouTube will help you a lot. You just try to find some videos that will help you. Apart from that, on the internet also you'll get a lot of content about it. Try to work on it and bring it into your practice. Don't learn, because if you're learning about it, you'll come to know this is very useful, and I have to implement it. But you are just learning it and you're not implementing it, will be just part of your knowledge only. It cannot be experience, it cannot be skill. So try to convert this into skill. Okay, So speak it and try to work on it. So today we are going to stop here. So let's confirm attendance today and people will stop here. Last 5 minutes are here. Any question? Is there any question, difficulty, any doubt, query?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Then pay attention towards the attendance. Roll number 2, are you there? Roll number 5. Sixteen, 17, 18. 20, 21. 24. 30. 34. 43. 49. 51. 67. So once again confirm absent numbers. Roll number 2, 5, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 24, 30, 34, 43, 49, 51, 67. These are absent numbers. Anybody present? Okay, fine. So we'll stop here. So should I end this meeting from my side?
Yes, sir.